Good day, everyone. My name's Trav, and I'm passionate about photography. I do YouTube video run-throughs of a range of different photography tools, programs, utilities, and the likes. In this video, I'm specifically going to be looking at the update to Skylum's Luminar Neo, which is their spring 2024 update. And we're going to look at some of the broad changes, some of the new tools, and we'll go from there. Now, it is worth noting that this is not going to cover absolutely everything, but it should give you an idea of some of the big changes coming. All right, so I have a number of photos here that I'll use to demonstrate. These are my photos. Start with Melbourne CBD. We'll have a look at one of the first tools, which is Twilight Enhance AI. Now, in this photo, I'm just going to go into the Edit tab, and I think I might just do a quick fix up of this because as you can see, there's some dust spots in here and it's just a bit distracting. So I'm just going to go into Erase and remove dust spots, and then it will just fix up those dust spots and we'll be starting off on a much better page. In the Skylum Luminar Neo, there's now a landscape section. This is a new category and it contains all of the typical landscape tools that we might want to use. One of those is Twilight Enhancer, which is a new tool, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It basically allows you to create these twilight scenes in your photos. Let's say I really want to try and emulate a bit of a golden hour scene. I could go choose preset, change that to golden, and it will apply it at 70%, and we'll have a look at what this actually looks like. So if I turn the before and after on, you'll see the left has the before, the right is the after. So you can see it does seem to make a pretty big difference to this specific photo. I like this. I think it does give it that kind of tint that you want in the photo. You can always dial it up and that will increase it or drop it down. With a lot of these tools, it's never recommended to go to 100% because it's just going to look, not great. So probably start at 70% and then maybe dial it back if you need to. Now that was golden, but there's a whole range of different presets. I could try emerald and that will give it a slightly different tint, or maybe that one, and you can see it gives you a lot of flexibility. Now I can change individual things, so I could change the temperature of the sky, I could change the tint, I can look at the amount of the dawn aspect that's applied, look at the scene and so on. So there is a lot of flexibility within this tool to adjust it as you like. But if I'm just choosing a basic preset like golden, I think you can see that it really changes that photo. And in my mind, I think it does a pretty good job. So let's look at a different photo now, but the same tool. So in this case, we might look at this photo of the Sydney Opera House and part of the CBD. So I'm going to go into Edit and we're going to do the same thing. We'll go down to Landscape and we will look at Twilight Enhancer. So in this case, I mean, it's a bit blue, so I think if I applied a blue hour, it's probably not going to change it a massive amount, I don't think, but let's see what it looks like. So you can see down the bottom, it tells you it's applying the Twilight Enhancer. If I turn that on, you can see it's applied a bit of a blue tint to it, but it's not massively different. So, you're probably not getting a lot out of that scenario, but maybe a golden hour might be a little bit nicer in this scenario. And you can see it does. It's if I turn this off and back on, it really has applied that sort of emulation of golden hour to that image. And I think it's done a pretty good job. So let's look at a different tool now. And that tool is Water Enhance AI. And I'm going to open this photo of the Sydney Opera House. And we can see there's a lot of water down the bottom. And Water Enhance does exactly what it sounds like. Water Enhancer AI. it basically masks what it thinks is water in your scene, and then it tries to sort of make that pop and bring out a bit more detail. So if I go in, we can have a look at the moment and see it's on 0, so it's not going to do anything. But if I bring this up to 70, you can see it's identified the water down the bottom and it started to change that. Now I'll turn this off and back on, and you can see the water change, and it's really brought out the blue in that water and just made it pop a little bit more. Now we can adjust how much blue we want. Maybe we want it a bit more blue, or maybe we want to bring out a bit of green in that water as well. There's also original color, which basically the more you increase that, the more it sort of protects and brings out the original color. The lower it is, the more the effect is going to apply. So I'll go back to the default, because I think actually the blue at 50% is enough for this to really make that water pop without looking too unrealistic. I'm going to go to a different photo now. And again, this is another water photo. And this is the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Same thing. I'm going to go into Edit. And we're going to go down to Water Enhancer. And I'll bring about 70%. And you can see, I'll turn it off and back on. It's masked the water, and it's really brought the blue out with just the default settings. Now it's done a pretty good job of the mask, but perhaps down the back you can see it's missed a little bit. You can always refine that area. So in this case, I've just clicked on Refine Area. I'm in Draw. I might drop the size of the brush down a little bit, and then you just paint in what you want it to actually pick up that it missed. And it will then do that. So you have a lot of flexibility around what you include and what you don't include. But I think that's another really useful tool, because it allows you to really sort of make that water pop separate to everything else. Now there is one other tool that I'm going to cover, and this is the ability to basically mask within your photos more intelligently. So let's say on this photo, I wanted to run Enhance AI. I can increase this and it will obviously do that to the entire photo. And we can see that it's done stuff to the clouds, the buildings, everything else. But if I don't want it to do that, then what I had to do before was go into a mask, and I potentially had to do a brush and brush what I did and didn't want. A new feature is called Object Select AI. And if you click on that, what it's going to do is try and identify the objects in your photo. And you can then say, I want to include this into the mask. So as I move my mouse around, you'll see that's gone red. And if I click on that, I can then move around and say, I want to add this. Maybe I want to add this part of the building as well. Maybe this bottom section, these sections here. But you can see it's brought some of that building at the back that I don't want. So I can just click on Subtract and subtract that. And so now what I've done is I've selected all of the Opera House, but nothing else. And I can go into the adjustments and I can start to make those adjustments to the Enhance AI. And if I turn it on and off, you'll see it's only affecting the Opera House. It's not affecting anything else in this scene. And it was that simple to actually select those individual items and mask them, rather than having to go to brush and say, oh, okay, I want to include this building, but I don't want a different building. I think the Object Select AI is just much quicker, cleaner, and simpler. Rather than having to paint everything yourself, you can just say, I want to include this and not this other section. Now, it's not perfect, it won't always pick up everything, but it seems pretty good from what I've seen as well. And we can do that with other things as well. So if I'm in this same photo here, maybe I want to increase the exposure on the bridge. I can go into Edit, and I could go into develop as the example, and rather than increasing the entire exposure of the whole photo, I can go into mask, object select, and I can pick the bridge. So let's pick these various aspects of the bridge. I'm just doing pretty rough on this, but it just gives you a bit of an idea. So I've picked the bridge. I can now go to adjustments and I can increase the exposure, maybe drop the highlights, bring the shadows up. And I've only done that to the bridge, nothing else. And you'll see how easy that was for me to select that. Now I could have gone into masking and drawn that myself and painted it in with the brush, but this is 100 times quicker and easier to do. So this is a really useful tool, and I think it's really helpful within this actual Skylum update itself. So I hope this has been useful. As I said, there's lots of different changes. There's things like the logos changed. There was the water enhance and the twilight enhance AI, as well as this new object masking. There are a lot of other things that I haven't covered, but I think this is quite a really helpful update, and I'll be interested to see what other people think about it as well. As always, if you have any questions, queries, or comments, please drop me a message on this video, or you'll find me on social media. Thanks for watching.